All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Merced County Superior Court. My name is Mark Bacciarini. I'm the presiding judge of the Superior Court for this year. It's my great honor and privilege to welcome all of you to this historic event where one of Merced's own is going to be honored, and this courthouse will be named in his honor. So I want to thank you once again for joining us. I'd like to recognize the Ogletree family members who are here, Brother Richard, and several other family members. Good afternoon, everyone. I spoke to Richard before we started, and it struck me last night as I was thinking about today's hearing that Dr. Ogletree has put Merced on the map in many ways, and which makes the three judges who are here this afternoon very proud. All three of us were also born and raised in Merced. So we're very proud to have Merced recognized, and it's an appropriate honor to name this courthouse in Dr. Ogletree's behalf. I'd also like to introduce Judge Brian McCabe. Judge McCabe, as well as Judge Donald Peretti. We have several other distinguished members and dignitaries here. I have Assembly Member Soria. Good afternoon. I have Joyce Dale from Senator Caballero's office. Dale. I have former Assembly Member Adam Gray present. And Assembly Member Gray's work was instrumental in making this day happen, so thank you very much. I also have several other people I'd like to recognize. Supervisor Josh Pedroso. Josh? Supervisor Lloyd Pereira. Supervisor? Chancellor Juan Sanchez Munoz from UC Merced. Chancellor? Dr. Chris Vitelli, Superintendent / President of Merced College. Our Public Defender, Mr. Vincent Andrade. Vince? I have Chief Deputy DA Tom Fife with us, as well as his boss, DA Nicole Silvera. Where am I? There we go. I have Deputy Chief Probation Officer Chris Hann. Chris? Captain Aaron Rosenberg from the Sheriff's Office. Captain? Mr. Alan Brooks, local NAACP President. I have Mr. Paul Terry from the Judicial Council Facilities Division. County Counsel Forrest Hanson is with us, as well as Supervisor Darren McDaniel. Thank you all for coming. I see many familiar faces also in the audience from the local bar. Thank you for supporting this event today. It truly is an honor to host this. Let me make just a couple of comments. The main courthouse has been renamed the Dr. Charles James Ogletree Jr. Courthouse in recognition of Professor Ogletree's contributions in the areas of law, civil rights, and education. A Merced native, Professor Ogletree was born on December 31st, 1952, and attended local public schools before going on to Stanford University. He earned an MA and a BA with distinction in political science from Stanford and holds a Juris Doctorate degree from the Harvard Law School. Impressive accomplishments all. Professor Ogletree is a distinguished Harvard law professor and accomplished author of several books on race and justice. Professor Ogletree is the recipient of several prestigious awards, including the 2009 American Bar Association Spirit of Excellence Award, in recognition of his many contributions to the legal profession. There are many other achievements that I could mention, but those are some of the highlights of an extremely distinguished career that Merced should be extremely proud of. and I'm sure we all are, especially the family. On behalf of Professor Ogletree, his brother Richard is going to make some remarks. Richard?
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to say this. I am truly, truly blessed. I get to stand in today for my hero, my brother. I want to thank everyone who was a part of making this happen. And as I was informed and reminded by a number of individuals I spoke with when I first came in, this is something that will register quite high on my brother's list of achievements. Now, those of you who follow my brother over the years know that he's been some pretty high places. We have a picture in our basement wall in Maryland of him with President Obama sharing a laugh in the Oval Office. Probably talking about Charles having to deal with Pam, his wife, having to deal with Michelle and Barack Obama as students at Harvard. We also have a picture of Charles at an event in South Africa. He was on the stage just wrapping up his portion of the program. Behind him, you can see on one side, Bill Clinton. Another side, Nelson Mandela. Running with Obama, Clinton, Mandela, that's what we used to call stepping in high cotton. That is some serious people to deal with. Now, what I like to do right quick, and I'm not going to be long, is talk about my brother and how he never forgot where he came from, which is appropriate considering what's being done here today. Oh, by the way, I never had any issues as far as going to court, being in front of a judge, but now I got 3 here and I'm kind of nervous. Just kidding. But my brother has done a lot. But despite the fact that he's risen to some quite high levels, he hasn't forgotten where he came from. He remembers his roots. And one of the things he did, I believe it was in 2002, he established the Ogletree Scholarship Fund for local high school students. And what he did to kick off the establishment of that fund was to held an event that was covered in the Merced Sun Star, which covered his entire career. Also, he was covered in other publications, as we know. But he did something that I thought was really special. 2 things about this kickoff event. One was the location where it was held. The other thing was who he decided to invite to be recognized and honored. The event was held in front of the pool at McNamara Park on the south side of Merced. Charles had his roots in McNamara Park as a lifeguard. But before he became a lifeguard, he said to himself, the lifeguards we have here don't look like me. The lifeguards we have here don't look like the majority of the people that enjoy the pool every day. So what he did was he coordinated with the Merced Parks and Recreation Department. I believe it was Craig Smith at the time. He made arrangements to have certification and training for lifeguards on the south side of Merced. So we have people like Glenn Williamson, Greg Mills, and my brother who became lifeguards. So the lifeguards at Merced's Memorial Plunge in McNamara Park look like the people that utilize the park on a main basis. So that's one key thing about what he did as far as kicking off the Ogletree Scholarship Fund. The second thing was who he had there the day that the event was held to recognize. And again, it was covered by the Sun Star. There was a nice article and a nice photo as far as the folks that Charles wanted there to be recognized and honored. Now, as I stated earlier, he's been doing some things with some pretty important folks. As I said, Obama, Cochran, Sharpton, Gates, and that's Henry Louis Skip Gates, not Bill Gates. But despite the fact that he had all these dealings with these folks, he still never forgot where he came from. So what he did was the event at McNamara Park, he had a picture and had one of those big ceremonial checks. And the numbers, while impressive on the check as far as the dollar amount, wasn't a big thing about it. The big thing was who he had there to be recognized. Now, before he started running around with all these big dogs on the national and in some instances international scene, there were a lot of folks who mentored and nurtured my brother, making him the person that we all know and love today. These are the folks that sent him off to Harvard and to Stanford prepared. These are people like Charlie Huddleston, Mr. D, Denard Davis, Nadine and Napoleon Washington, Gaither Haynes, Julia Bill, Alice Spinlove, and Tony Sawyer from the Sun Star. And Tony, by the way, gave a lot of us our start in the business world as paper route deliverers. So those are some of the folks that nurtured and mentored Charles, making a person that is worthy of his honor being bestowed upon him today. Because the fact they showed him, you got to remember where you come from. And three or four of the gentlemen I talked to before we got started all mentioned how they thought it was really important, the fact to have him recognized by his hometown. And I think that is great because, again, he's been to the mountaintop, hung with a lot of big wigs, a lot of important things, wrote a lot of books, spent a lot of time on CNN, on CBS, on NBC. And today when I watch news, I think, what would my brother say about that? What would he say about that? Like he used to do back in the day before Don Lemon, when he would spend time with Larry King live. But again, I want to thank everyone that made this possible, because this honor coming from the local community is something that I will personally cherish on my brother's behalf. Thank you.
Next, we have a video message from Congressman Jeffries from New York. I believe is going to be played by our IT department.
Presiding Judge Bashiarini, Assemblyman Adam Gray, the Ogletree family, all those assembled, it's a high honor and a distinct privilege to have this opportunity to speak with you today during this incredible courthouse naming ceremony for the Honorable Distinguished Professor and Attorney Extraordinaire, Charles Ogletree. Throughout his life and throughout his legal journey, Professor Ogletree has been an incredible force of nature, a dynamic public servant who has advanced the ball for social justice, civil rights, civil liberties, and tolerance in our society like none other. Charles Ogletree has really brought to life, through his teachings, through his advocacy, through his understanding, through his analysis and insight with respect to our society, that America is a continuing march toward a more perfect union. And he has continued to advance the ball in that direction, lifting up and bringing to life values such as liberty and justice for all, equal protection under the law, free and fair elections, and the notion of our country as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. He's also inspired countless law students, including President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, and numerous members of the House Democratic Caucus that I serve with today, including Congresswoman Terry Sewell. We thank you, Professor Ogletree, for your life's work, for your contributions, for the manner in which you inspire all of us to do better and to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. I also want to thank Assemblyman Adam Gray for your leadership, for your work in bringing about this incredible moment, so that this courthouse, an incredible symbol of justice and the rule of law, is named after someone who has embodied justice, the preeminence of the rule of law, in our country's long, necessary, and majestic march toward a more perfect union. God bless each and every one of you. God bless Professor Ogletree, and may God bless the United States of America.
Special thank you to the Spenlove family for their partnership in making this happen today. And thank you to Richard Ogletree and to the entire Ogletree family for the distinct privilege of having you here, allowing me to take part in this wonderful ceremony honoring Dr. Ogletree. It truly is an honor to stand before you and acknowledge such an exemplary life lived by Dr. Ogletree, contributions made to social justice, tolerance, and diplomacy. 2 years ago, I introduced legislation to begin the process of renaming this courthouse the Charles James Ogletree Jr. Courthouse. Today, that work has come to fruition. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge Alan Brooks and Jerome and the entire NAACP organization here in Merced County, who from the very beginning of this idea were hand in glove partners, working with me at the state level and the local level to see this to fruition. You know, from very humble beginnings in Merced, Professor Ogletree embarked on a prolific career focused on the advancement of civil rights, racial justice, and social tolerance. In addition to his influential writings as a legal scholar, he inspired generations of law students as a professor at Harvard, including former President and First Lady Barack and Michelle Obama. As a public defender and civil rights attorney, Professor Ogletree notably represented survivors of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre and acted as legal counsel to Professor Anita Hill during the Clarence Thomas Senate confirmation hearings. He received countless prestigious awards throughout his career, including being named one of the 100 most influential lawyers in America by the National Law Journal and both Harvard Law. UC Merced has also established an endowed position, along with Harvard, naming in his honor. Professor Ogletree founded the Charles Hamilton Houston Institute for Race and Justice in honor of the legendary civil rights lawyer and mentor to such influential figures as Thurgood Marshall and Oliver Hill. He has been a thought leader pushing the national conversation on race and justice forward, including as a lawyer, commenter, professor, and author. As one of Merced County's proudest Native sons who has made incredible contributions to the advancement of racial justice in the American legal system, there is no more deserving individual on whom to bestow the honor of naming this courthouse than Professor Ogletree. In closing, again, I want to thank the Ogletree family who also worked through this process with us, both in Sacramento as we moved the legislation forward and in putting this ceremony together today. I want to thank my colleagues, Assemblywoman Esmeralda Soria, who's taking on the fight for our community in Sacramento. Thank you for being here today to participate in this important honor. Senator Caballero's office. I appreciate the senator's partnership in getting this through the legislature as we moved it this past session. Our new Congressman, John Dwordy, who I know is represented here today, appreciate him participating in this ceremony. And thank you all for being here. It is an important honor, and we've got three honors from Merced. I grew up, this is my hometown, and it was Dr. Ogletree's hometown. It's an incredible honor for us to honor him, and I hope that the Ogletree family enjoys this wonderful day. Thank you.
Somehow, Amanda, my papers have disappeared. Okay. I do want to recognize a few other people before we close this afternoon. The staff of the Judicial Council worked very closely with the state to make this happen. So I want to thank Corey Jasperson from JCC. I want to thank Pella McCormick and her teams for working with the legislature to make this happen and working cooperatively with Assemblyman Gray to provide whatever assistance the Judicial Council could to make this happen. I also want to thank my local court staff who have worked tirelessly to make this event happen today. My CEO, Amanda Tosti. Amanda, thank you. One of my assistants, Shelby Perino. Shelby, thank you. I'd also like to thank our IT staff for setting up this wonderful situation, allowing us to live stream this from the court's website. I'm assuming worldwide, I would think. So I want to thank Luke and his team for setting all that up, and they've been monitoring it every second of this hearing to make sure that everything works smoothly. So thank you, Luke, and your team. And with that, once again, on behalf of all the judges of the Superior Court, go ahead. Did I miss someone? On behalf of all the judges of the Superior Court and everybody who's here today, congratulations to Dr. Ogletree, the Ogletree family, the beautiful picture. And as Congressman Jeffries said, it does embody the home of justice in Merced County. And it's a well-deserved honor. With that, thank you all very much. Have a wonderful weekend.